interview. So for ZS Associates, you must have seen that we have one of the rounds called as the video interview. In the video interview, we have guesstimates as well as the behavioral interview. So the two parts. The guesstimates I have already covered, and we have a playlist on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. I will put the link in the description as well. So coming to the second part, that is the behavioral interview. First, I will tell you a little like how it is conducted for ZS Associates. How is the video interview conducted? The manner it's in which the behavioral interview or the guesstimates is conducted is exactly the same. Actually, there you will have like when your video interview starts, like once you have filled in all your particulars, roll number and everything, then you will start. So first you will have behavioral interview questions, and then you will have um, guesstimates. So around five behavior interview questions, and then five guesstimates, right? Guesstimates can vary. Sometimes there are just two or three guesstimates. Okay, because in an interview also you can be asked some guesstimates. So what happens, like you have five behavior interview questions, three guesstimates. So one by one you will have these questions. So once the examination starts, for 30 seconds, there will be a question on the screen. Okay? And you read the question, you organize your thoughts, you collect the ideas, you have your train of thoughts ready in your mind. So the moment those 30 seconds are completed, you start speaking your answer. You start speaking your answer for the next 3 minutes. Okay? So you have a 3-minute window. So question one, 30 seconds, you have to read the question, then 3 minutes to answer. The next question comes up, 30 seconds to answer, then again 3 minutes, 30 seconds to read the question, 3 minutes to answer. Same for third, fourth, fifth question, likewise. But you can note that if you're done, like sometimes it will happen that you do not want to speak for 3 minutes, or you're done within 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, right? So what do you do in that case is you can just skip, you can move to the next question, or you can just have the remaining time, like you speak for 2 minutes and 30 seconds and you say thank you, and then for the remaining 30 seconds you can just sit idle in front of the screen smiling, and that is really quite fine, because so that will give you a little gap before the next question. Okay. uh, so that is how it is conducted. That is a part of the walkthrough, like 30 seconds of questions, like organize your thoughts, 3 minutes answer, all that. Around five questions you will have on behavioral interview, and then around three questions on guesstimates, more or less. Then these are continuously one after other. This is an important part because you won't get time. Like it's not like you have question one, you click on question one, then it starts, then question two starts after clicking. No, one after the other. Once first ends, then next will start. So the really important thing in this is self-presentation. Like a lot of interviews are conducted online these days, right? So, uh, and another key point is not only the interview is online, but the interview is actually recorded. Okay, so you are actually recording a video on whatever the portal or website on which you are giving the examination. Later, this video will be assessed not only by machine learning and artificial intelligence, but also manually by a person also, right? But some things, some marks, some traits, some metric will be there to judge your video based upon machine learning or AI also, right? Means manual interfere will always be there, but it's a combination of both mostly, because they cannot heavily rely upon the AI and ML totally, like not all companies do that. Some companies like Goldman Sachs might do it, but or other ones. Okay, so in self presentation you have to note that you have to look at the camera as if you look at a person. So when I say that look in the camera or look in the eyes, so you have to look in the camera same as if you're looking at the person. Like you do not have to keep looking or start staring at it. You can take off your eyes for 1 or 2 seconds in the middle, like we speak to somebody else, right? And then expressions are also important, like you have to keep smiling, and you should know that we smile through our eyes, not just with the lips. So when you smile, you should exhibit these characters, you can say, that you look professional, smart, the right amount of smile you should have. Another key factor is voice. Whichever microphone or the mic of the laptop you're using, it should be really good, right? So you can test it before examination. And because you're based on your voice also, a multiple factor comes into play, and it can be just that how nervous you were, how clear you were, how confident you were. All these things can be just just upon your voice. Of course they will take in consideration the expressions also, but voice is an important part of it. Then once you so self presentation is really important, and you should prepare for this thoroughly. Like, even though it is a video interview and you are recording for a machine learning algorithm, still you should wear a nice t-shirt, or a nice shirt, and you should dress really nice. Once we are done with that, let's see this one. So traits that are tested means, why the behavior interview, why are we conducting this behavior interview? Once they have conducted your aptitude and everything, they want to know if you are somebody who will fit in their organization. Like different companies have different parameters, like Google checks if the candidate has googliness. Amazon likes to see that if their candidate has the leadership qualities mainly, or whereas the Facebook says that uh, if you have these kind of traits, so that you will fit in the environment that Facebook provides. So at the same time, ZS provides a very welcoming and warm environment to its colleagues, and there is a really beautiful way we coordinate in our day-to-day life. There is no barrier, like you would not never feel that somebody is so much superior to you, or he's a manager. You can speak really freely. So all these things that means happiness, the cheerfulness should be seen in you. Like before you become an employee of ZS, they should be able to see in you somebody who they will like to work with, right? So if somebody, a manager, is seeing your video, like assessing your video manually, your video interview that is recorded, he would like to see, like, do I want this person in my team? Yes or no? That question, that the answer to that question really matters, right? So exhibit professionalism, team player, adaptability, aptitude, confidence. Like aptitude, how do you show aptitude in behavior interview? Is like, one is in the guesstimates, of course, and another one is like the way you speak. You should sound smart, right? Whatever you're speaking, speak with confidence. So once we are done with that, then how can you prepare? You should know that in a behavior interview, I have quite a few questions here, 6 questions, and that those questions will give you situations, sometimes general, sometimes a little specific to the work, or sometimes like non-technical, non-work thing just about your life, and they want to know how you will deal with. Okay, so you should like for each and every trait, like related to work, you should go through a number of behavior interview questions, and you should prepare in your mind some incidents from your life, because on the fly, like when you give the interview, it would be really difficult to recollect those incidents in those 30 seconds. So you have to be prepared beforehand. Like if I ask you, like, mention a time you committed a really big mistake and what did you do. So in this point, you should mention something, not so much drastically bad about you that would give away something, that, oh, you commit a mistake like that bad and we cannot accept mistake like that. So mistake should be good. Matlab, not, I mean to say, the mistake should not be like drastically bad. It should be something serious. It should look realistic. Of course, it should be real. So then only you can play it realistic. In Then they want to know that what you did in that situation. Like once you committed that mistake, then how did you handled it, right? So write down some pointers or keywords of the incidents from your life. Then keep answer without too many open questions, like it is a one way thing, you're recording your answer. So don't answer something that which requires too many counter questions to be fully understood. Okay, so your answer should be complete and simple to understand. They should not be something, okay, but how did you do this? Because there's nobody on the other side. Somebody will be assess you based on the recorded video, so they won't be able to they won't get to ask you the counter questions, right? Also, do not contradict yourself, maybe on numbers or facts. Do not contradict, not even in different questions, right? So now let's go over some sample questions for behavior interview. The first one is, like, you're assigned a project which requires skills you're not aware or you're not skilled at. What will you do? So let's take an example. Let's say that maybe you are a person who is really good at Python, okay, but you're not somebody who is good at Java or Android. And you can see that the people who like a particular language will not easily, not unless and until it is really required, they will not move to a different language. So if you have to study some different language, like you have been doing mobile development and now you have to do machine learning, or you have to learn some different kind of software like Tableau or business UI tool or something, right? So it is really important that you always stay open, you adapt, you learn these things. And because we know that if you have the aptitude, we can learn any skill through a few courses from online, and you can acquire the skill. So you should mention in this. But they will ask you that to mention an example from your life where you can relate to this. So you can mention that once you're making a project which was based on web development, but in that you also wanted to exhibit your machine learning project. So how you learned things, how you learned to make API calls and everything, so that you can create a machine learning project, export it, like create APIs for it, and then you can call the machine learning endpoints so that you can exhibit it on the front end in your website. So something that like that you can tell. And you can also tell that earlier I did not know this thing, like this part, like I know machine learning but I didn't know web development, so I had to learn all that. You can mention like that. uh, Next question, the second one I have is, you joined a new team and they don't involve you in team outings on weekend. Okay, so this question is more like mm, you can say not too much work related or skills related, but it is your personality related. Like, what will you think in this situation? So of course this is a straightforward and really simple question. Like, you do not have to overthink this. You will straightforward answer that I will go to them and ask them that what is it about and how can I fit in, or can I join you in the next outing. These kind of small questions you can ask, and ask them straightforward, like what I have to do to fit in, and these kind of things, like do I can I make any changes to adapt to the team. So these small things are important. Like, you can mention a time when you felt like this. It can also be because of you, like you are a little shy, or the team has been doing something that they cannot involve you at that point of time, or they're planning to involve you on a later point of time. That can also happen, right? So the third question is, your mother is ill, you need a week's leave but your project needs you. What will you do? This question also, like, it might puzzle you, but if you'll answer something like this, that I will still work on the project, then that is just so unrealistic and actually not a good thing, right? So of course the straightforward thing here is that if your mother needs you, then you will be taking a week's leave. you you can say, I can try to be back if she gets better early, or and that you will always be available on call to provide somebody or something, and you will also make sure that you provide all the files and everything to somebody, like send them through emails and everything, so that they do not have to ask you again and again how to do this and this thing. Don't be completely off the grid that they cannot reach you. Your team should always be able to reach you. Be open to, any calls if they want to ask you some small doubts or big doubts on something that you have specifically worked. But you can be with your mother, but you just won't be working, right? And also you can check in, after 3 4 hours with the work, if there is something urgent you have to reply to, right? That way you can answer. Fourth is, you committed a really bad mistake, your friends and family is not talking to you. So in this case, what happens is they also want you to mention an example. So you have to, from your past, mention a time that you committed a really bad mistake and your friends and family was not talking to you. Now, of course, you have to write here some really big mistake, and it should be something legitimate. At the same time, it should not sound like a blunder. So you can say that, once you forgot some documents or something, like, but don't mention as if they were very important. Or you can say that you forgot somebody's birthday or some special event. Or you can say, that your friends and family were together and you had the responsibility of, let's say, the cake, and you forget that. Of course, it will put you in a light that you're not a very responsible person, but you have to make up for it. So you can mention, so I immediately did this and this and arrange the cake immediately. Or if you want to mention a more serious situation or a situation from your time, you can mention that. Also, you can mention that, like, if you could not do this thing, like if you could not arrange the cake, that is not the big point, like you could not arrange the cake or not. Point is, why could you not, like if there was something, so you mention first the legitimate reason, like why were you not able to do, and then how did you compensate it for it. Both things are really important. So we're done with that. You committed a huge mistake, what will you do? First of all, a huge mistake, you have to decide what mistake you will choose. Let's say that this is a something, some kind of a technical mistake. Let's say you deleted something, or let's say you were supposed to do something, and you were supposed to compile some data for the year 2018-19, but by mistake you compiled it for 2015-16. So it's a big mistake, because if you're sending it to a client or something, right? So what will you do in this case is, of course, you will reach out to everybody, especially the important members of the team, and you will tell them that this mistake has been done and we have to refactor it immediately. When they say a huge mistake, you have to mention a huge mistake, and then you can say that you will make sure never to make the mistake again. Another example of a huge mistake can be, like, let's say you send the file, an important confidential file, outside your organization. So then what will you do? Then also you'll reach out to your important members, senior members of the team, and ask them that what can we do about that. If you don't know what to do about it, like inform the important person so that they can take action. So you send a mail again to that person, whomsoever you send it earlier, and you can tell that please do not open the earlier email, it is confidential and you're not allowed to access that. All those things, like from your end you can do that, and then you inform the rest of your team. Some other big mistake you can also mention from your life also, right? Like from college or from a project team, like maybe on the last day or previous day you made a big mistake, you deleted some important piece of code. What will you do? How will you retrieve it back? But of course you should mention something that is actually a huge mistake. You should not mention something that is a mistake but not actually huge, because that will put you in a light that you consider small mistakes as huge. That means you're a bit naive. Okay, so you solved a really challenging problem. What will you do? So this sounds pretty simple, like not even, doesn't even sound like a problem, right? But in this case also, like if you know about the industry and everything, if you have solved a really challenging problem and if you have a team, like maybe even a project in college, then you should completely explain to each and every member of your team, or at least the important member, like if it was a backend problem, so to other backend members of the team, like how you solved it, how you approached it. For your personal self also, you should write down the approach somewhere. If you can, if you are supposed to document it, then document it. You should share it with other people so that they can learn how you solve this challenging problem, and it will help them in future, right? So that is it. It's not much of a problem, but they want to know what will you do in this case. So some obvious things might come to your mind, and that is it. So that is all for this video. We have covered the different angles and parts for the interview. Hope to see you in the next video. Like the video, subscribe the channel, and mention your questions in the comments. And see you in the next one.